Mike Lee, Agent Esports at UTA. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Ned. Hi, everyone.
And Paco Thuro, who is GM of Global Partner Payments to Palti. Paco, great to have you on the panel.
Thanks, Ned. Good to see you.
Yep. And our moderator today is none other than Doug Scott, co-founder of SubNation. Doug, take it away.
Thanks, Ned. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you everybody for joining me today. I'm Doug Scott, co-founder at SubNation. SubNation is very focused in on this intersection of what we believe to be gaming, content creators, and crypto and blockchain. I think we're going to put the crypto and blockchain aside for a second on the Web3 discussion, which has been a hot topic happening here in the world today, and really hone in on the gaming piece as well as the creator piece. I'm honored to actually have what I would consider to be the ecosystem of this marketplace here, cross-section of industry experts. And as we're all aware, this marketplace is extremely hot right now. When you've got organizations like Netflix leaning into gaming series and licensing properties like Arcane, you've got Amazon as well, kind of leaning into the gaming side of things. And I would not be surprised to see the streamer pick up an indie game platform out there to add to its streaming service as that becomes even more competitive relative to keeping our subscribers. But most importantly, this rise of the creator economy, as we all hear, how do you engage the audience through creators, many of which are part of esports organizations and brands like FaZe Clan? How do these individuals monetize their audiences through advertising and commerce? And really, what do those deals look like from a representation standpoint? And Mike with UTA is really leading that charge out there in the industry today. What is that transactional methodology that's out there, which Tapalti and Paco have really forged ahead on, providing that back office infrastructure? And then lastly, with Super League and the work that they're doing in the metaverse, how do we extend that into these new game worlds like Roblox and Fortnite? So with that, I'd like to start today's discussion with a brief opening from each of our panelists, starting with Matt, talking a little bit about the role that you play and your org's position inside of this intersection of gaming culture and lifestyle content. And then we can drill a little deeper into some best-in-class examples of what's happening out there. Matt?
Sure. Thanks, Doug. So Super League has really moved very specifically into open gaming platforms. Probably a year ago, they weren't called metaverse gaming platforms, but they seem to be referred to as such now, and that's primarily Roblox and Minecraft. We have developed a lot of proprietary positions in both of those platforms. Through technology, game development, game publishing. We're bringing an increasing number of brand partners into those environments. And every time we do so, we are also producing content about the experiences that we're creating for the players and for our partners. And so when it comes to young gamers and really looking at the UGC gaming worlds, we think that's the most exciting place for us to be.
Great. JC?
Yep. Hey, I'm JC Hayes. With FaZe Clan. We are a media and lifestyle entertainment platform really rooted in gaming and youth culture. And we think when you think about FaZe Clan, a lot of people think about an esports org, which we absolutely are. But we started over 10 years ago and content creation. So we were creators first. It was a bunch of gamers that met online, started posting trick shots. They turned the cameras on themselves. They were unapologetically gamers way back then. They highlighted their lives through fashion, sports, tricks, entertaining videos in a house, a creator house, one of the first ones in New York City. And that's what really drove this intersection of music, sports, lifestyle content in the gaming universe, where now we see gaming driving pop culture, not the other way around. And so from there, once they got really big and amassed, today it's over 400 million fans across all socials. They acquired 10 esports teams, Call of Duty being one of the first, FaZe Atlanta. And it's been incredible, but the rise in just gaming content driving pop culture moments over the last 2 years has been incredible. And we really feel like we're at the forefront of that.
Great. Mike?
Hi, thanks, Doug. My name is Mike Lee. I'm a talent agent in the esports department here at UTA. UTA is a global entertainment talent agency, and esports is one of its departments. We call it esports, but we represent anyone that's basically creating live content, whether that's on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. If JC's at the forefront, we're really in the center of all things when it comes to gaming, culture, and lifestyle when it comes to esports. So for us, we not only represent some of the top Twitch and YouTube streamers on the platforms, but we also represent pro players such as Scump and Imperial How, all the way down to brands such as Beats and L'Oreal, where we help them navigate the esports space and help them understand this cross-section and intersection of gaming, lifestyle, and culture.
Great. And lastly, Paco.
Hey, I'm Paco Suro. I am the general manager for global partner payments at Tipalti. So how do we fit in all of this? We are a financial operations software company underpinned by payments. And so we remit money globally. We work very heavily in the gaming and more broadly in the creator economy and space. Really, we are sort of that end point of the partner experience that sits on every platform. They want to get paid. They want to know they can get paid on time. And we focus on that.
That's great. So, first off, again, as I mentioned earlier, we really feel like we have an ecosystem here from talent and creator through platform and payment. And needless to say, with the world that we're in, a lot of us are working very closely together. JC, I'd like to start with you talking about creators, gamers, athletes, musicians. FaZe is this curated group, probably the best curated org out there right now relative to the talent that you have under your umbrella. The gamers that play across those teams, the artists that are involved with you. How does FaZe Clan really go about approaching talent? What's the strategy in terms of developing, that mix? Because when I look at FaZe Clan, it's like the ultimate orchestra. Each person in that number one seat playing that instrument is there for a reason. And you guys have signed and announced some very relevant talent, most recently, I believe, Snoop Dogg. So would love some understanding as to what goes into that process.
Yeah, you've hit mainstream when you sign Snoop Dogg, which my mom knows, down to my child knows. So it's pretty incredible. But before I get into that signing, FaZe has always been very methodical about who they sign, and it has to be on an authentic relationship. And the guys and girls who are within our organization, they all have to kind of vibe with who we're bringing on, because FaZe is family. They're all connected, and they cross promote each other's content and fan base, and they have that one-to-one connection with their fan base. And FaZe also has a one-to-one connection with our fan base across socials. So when you sign a FaZe rug, who arguably already had, I think 15 million fans when we signed, he's now up to 40 million fans just on his own. He is a loud voice in the space. And it just pluses up what FaZe is doing across the board. So you have FaZe Rug, you have Mongrel, who's an outstanding Fortnite player. You have Nick Merckx. We just signed Destroying, which is a really exciting one for us, because he was kind of talking with our guys. When he was young in high school, he looked up to FaZe. He played Call of Duty. He wanted to be a content creator. He then got a scholarship, became an NCAA football player, and started making more money on his YouTube and creating content on YouTube, and just started getting more interested in that. And the news came out, I guess, a couple weeks ago that we just finally signed him. And he's an incredible talent and very vocal in the space. And he's a content creator and an athlete and a gamer. And if you think about what Gen Z, where they're spending their time, no matter what data point you're looking at, there are several out there. They're spending their time gaming, and their new rock stars are gamers. So when someone like a Snoop becomes FaZe Snoop, it's not that we went out after Snoop, although, and we did, but he also he also wanted to resonate with Gen Z. So him coming into us matters, because he wants to speak the language of Gen Z, and a language that resonates with them. So he wore the FaZe Clan chain at the Super Bowl without us even having that official release go out yet. It's an authentic relationship. Our guys play games with him and his kid, and it just works. And with all of the talent that we sign, it's very much a hand-holding experience. We launched FaZe Academy about 2 years ago during COVID. And it's set up to walk all of our talent through media training, diversity and equity training, all the type of training, mental health awareness, all the things that these guys need to be set up to be successful, because it's grueling. It's, so if you're a streamer, you're on 8 hours a day. And it's nice to know that you're part of a family. So when you join FaZe, it's like you're joining the Lakers, you're joining this team, and you've got all these experts within the company to just help you on whatever route you want to go down. Crypto's been a tricky one, right? Because there was a lot of stuff going on early days of crypto. And I think we were learning at the same time. We're now way up to speed on all of it. But as an influencer, you got a heavy load on your back. There is a lot coming at you right now. And with Web3 and how fast it moves, it's really important that we take the lead and help our guys be smart and educated in what they're talking about. It's also, we lean on UTA quite heavily. I'm glad Mike Lee's on the call for a lot of this as well, because it's managing creators is constant and every day, and it's constantly changing at the speed of the internet, is what they say. Yeah.
JC, you bring up an interesting point, right? And I was going to ask you about sort of Snoop's reveal during the Super Bowl with the chain, and there were several social posts out there with FaZe members with Snoop, at the Super Bowl. It feels, and use the word team related to the org, right? It feels to me like the future of professional sports, be it esports or other, right, really is about diversity of team, where you don't just have players, but like the NBA should have creators, the NFL should have creators that are part of that org, that are pushing out the brand, pushing out the gameplay beyond just what's on the field, but really the culture off the field, right? And I think FaZe Clan has taken a huge position in that role. In terms of how diverse, even Bronny James, if you will, LeBron's son, being part of the organization, is that really the model that FaZe Clan is putting forward out there for the future of professional sports, period?
Yes, 100%. And you can tell even what we did with the NFL, we built off it. The first year we worked with them, it was a simple collaboration. It sold out within like 60 seconds. And then this year, as you saw, we did much more of an integration with the NFL, where, FaZe Rug and now made an announcement. We did the flag football program in Las Vegas against AMP. And we just made it a much more bigger, more robust program, because Gen Z's watching the creators. Even if they're not watching, the sport, they're watching the creators. So it should be, it's like if LeBron had a creator right next to him, constantly creating the socials and videos and YouTubes. And I love what Overtime's doing, because they seem to be doing it the right way in terms of having creators and sports early on.
Yeah, Dan's very smart over there. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you don't mind me adding, what FaZe has really done and has continued to do in the last decade is really be the leader when it comes to the gaming culture, right? And I think all the other orgs are really looking at FaZe and trying to emulate what they've been able to build. And it's really hard to have your cultural, like the pulse on the culture of gaming. And I think when we look back in the last 5 years, what gaming has really done and has been able to do, what hip hop has been able to do in the 90s, is really ingrain itself into the culture of the youth. And so whereas, even if you weren't rapping or listening to hip hop, you knew the lingo, you knew what people were talking about, and it became a cultural mainstream. And so I think that's what brands like the NFL, brands like DoorDash, and brands like, Ghost Gaming started to realize is that, gaming is not just gaming anymore. This gaming culture is becoming embedded in youth, and FaZe continues to lead that conversation, and esports orgs find that as an opportunity to kind of get themselves more ingrained. And so, yeah, I think more brands are just looking at this intersection, just seeing that gaming culture and gaming lingo is now just mainstream culture and mainstream lingo.
Right. So, Mike, you guys are on a tear over there. 25 recent signings, very diverse in terms of the client base. We've heard some names mentioned. Nick Merckx is on the roster, Pokimane on the roster. Recently, having signed Loud Esports and Maximum. Who's number one World of Warcraft guild out there. I guess one of the questions I have for you from a packaging standpoint, right? Because culture is this. Shaping culture is this unique alignment of different assets and facets, right? There's talent, there's producers, there's events, there's music, there's a lot of different things that come into play to create these cultural moments that then the individuals that are watching these streams, that are attending these events, that are buying these products really want to be a part of. How is UTA focusing on the packaging of that versus, say, traditional agency packaging of TV shows in yesteryear or other packages?
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about being part of UTA and being, the esports department, is that we reach across our other colleagues and we talk to the TV departments, we talk to the writers, we talk to the producers, and the trailer for Players, the new Paramount Plus show just came out, I think 2 days ago, and that was something that we've been working on for the last 2 to 3 years, right? Helping them put together who are the best cast members for that, what is the best sport that they should be focused on, should it be League of Legends, should it be Counter-Strike, should it be Fortnite? So really helping educate and being the source of authenticity for our other colleagues and other departments, and having them better understand what is gaming, what is esports, what's the difference between Twitch and YouTube, video on demand and live streaming. So really understanding the nuances of it. I would say that, as more and more traditional properties look towards esports to try to captivate those eyeballs away from the live streaming and more into traditional avenues, these questions are going to come up more and more often. And as we're going to start seeing it more, but obviously NBC Universal made their investment to G4 TV. We can debate whether or not that's been successful so far or not, but really it is an attempt by these larger networks to really try to captivate these eyeballs and better understand, right? And I think, understanding the different nuances that JC is spoke about. I know Matt has, his own little community or his own community where they're focused on, how to really bring esports to the youth and really understand and educate the brands. We're doing that on the level of TV producers, directors, writers, IP holders, and really just continue to educate, right? Because, I think we've all been saying this in gaming and esports, but you really only get one chance to really hit a community, and you have to make sure that when you take that swing, that's a home run from the first at bat.
Yeah, and to be clear, I mean, gaming, $185 billion a year industry, right? Everybody tends to group gaming and esports together, and although esports is a component of this overall gaming market and probably the tip of the spear based on the professional level of what's out there right now, this idea of gaming in a broad sense, right, is even a bigger opportunity, as we've seen. Certain games, like the attempt to turn Frogger into a game show, permeate culture going the other way to traditional television. And I have to imagine we're going to see a little bit more of that. You mentioned G4, and I just want to focus in on that for a second. Do you believe that there will be more game channels out there like that? So similar to the early days of cable, where we had these focus channels, Food Network, HGTV for Home and Garden. Do you think that we're going to see some, let's call it fragmentation or segmentation of content-based channels in that sense?
I definitely think that the funnel into esports and the funnel into Twitch and YouTube is going to become greater. I think as more and more brands try to take the approach of understanding, they're going to want to place their media dollars somewhere, right? I think, I really do think that it's really the content that's going to be king at the end of the day. So, I don't think it's really the media platform, but it's really the content ideas and the type of shows that they produce. So, as people create more sophisticated content that's really with their ear to the ground and able to kind of create something that will draw users to the platforms, I think that's really the missing piece. Where we've seen other networks fail is really just trying to recreate the Twitch experience or the live stream experience onto the platforms. And that's really just not the key, right? It really has to be additive and not in lieu of what they're already doing. And so, sticking a streamer or getting stream highlights and putting onto a 30-minute or 20-minute show is not really the answer, right? Adding production value to a streamer and having, their bedroom setup then turn into a studio setup hasn't proven successful. So what are the ideas that are going to draw eyeballs? And the one thing that I would point to is kind of what JC and the team are doing with phase one is a lot of the millions of followers of phase want to learn how to become part of phase, right? What are the best avenues of doing it? So as phase continues to produce their own content on their channels, like I wouldn't be surprised if there are TV networks or other networks that want to captivate that audience and bring those eyeballs to their network. So really it's building the IP first and building something sticky and then finding the right avenue and the right platform for it to live on. But in that sense, the
talent, Mike, it is the talent. If you look at what phase has done, when you say content is first, it is, but it's talent that drives that content. So that's the only way phase has grown, is because talent drove the content across socials, YouTube and Twitch. And if you look on Twitch, it's all of our channels. It's the talent channels that are growing. And Mike knows this well. There are talent channels on any given day. Nick Merckx has 50,000 people watching him. So when phase went to launch, we're doing it right now, a live stream, trying to find our next talent. It's a big talent show called Phase One. You should all tune in. It's a 24/7 live stream, 2-week long show, but that's only as successful as the rest of the network of our talent helps it to be, if that makes sense. They've got to dump their audiences into our channels. Their audiences are watching their channel. There's so many channels, and even phase, who has this network of family of talent, they're across multiple channels. I don't know the answer per se.
Yeah.
And we also are coming up with our own IP, which is important, but it's going to happen slowly and over time. Phase one is our first foray into it. But we also want to grow our talent channels.
And Doug, I don't think it's just traditional networks too. Like Twitch is trying to figure out this problem too, right? Like Twitch is out there buying content. They're trying to produce shows. Is it talent? At first they were trying to create their own IP. Now they've shifted to more of a, to Jason's point, like a content creator focused show. And so, if I had the answer to it, I think we'd see a lot more shows on TV focused around gaming and esports. But really, like, as you mentioned, the audience is very fragmented. So it really has to be a special piece of content that really drives the eyeballs.
Yeah. So shifting for a second, Matt, over to you. I mean, talk about audience and scale and size. Super League Gaming recently expanded into the metaverse with a big focus in Roblox, and it's kind of fishing where the fish are, if you will, right? Starting to build that out in those game communities. You guys have taken a forward-looking view on 3D advertising in these worlds, billboards in these worlds, really becoming the clear channel, if you want to call it that, of game worlds, which I would argue Roblox, Fortnite, that's kind of on-ramp to Web3 to some degree, and successfully launched a campaign with DreamWorks around the bad guys. So can you talk a little bit about that campaign and how that was used? Because with the kind of dwell time that young people are having inside these gaming worlds or these gaming platforms, and the talent in the case of Roblox being the creators in Roblox that are creating mini games or games that are drawing these kids in, right? Different form of talent. That is now becoming an emerging platform for brands and a whole new landscape for creators as well as for brands to participate in.
Sure. I think maybe to tie it for a moment into some of the conversation we were just enjoying, the the world of Roblox as you know, the largest open gaming platform on the planet, is dominated by creators. It is a creator-driven platform. They're just not creators whose faces you know, but if you're a Roblox player, you know their names. You know that Script Bloxian is the developer of the games that you love, or that Sphinx Shen is the developer of the game, or Sub-Zero is the developer. And that is a whole new roster of remarkable talent that has emerged because of the incredible tools available to enterprising creative teenagers from Roblox, from Minecraft. Fortnite is moving interestingly in that direction, with, you know, continued emphasis on their creative mode, which hasn't quite taken off the way that Roblox and Minecraft have taken off as a UGC platform. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it expand. And there's an enormous amount of investment in additional platforms, some Web3 based on the blockchain. Core Games is another great example of a company that we're excited about. And it's clear that young gamers, young players are as enthusiastic about following the creators in these spaces because of the gameplay that they deliver, as they are about following creators who create great content through their gameplay, video content. And so, you know, what we looked at was an opportunity to tap into this really rising class of creators of a different type, and to help them grow their business by bringing them revenue opportunities in the form of partnerships with brands. Some of that is through technology, through some acquisitions that we've made. But really, it's by helping brands understand that there's an incredible opportunity to have an organic presence that does not interrupt the gameplay experience in front of these massive audiences. And you know, people who are tuning in here may or may not know the size of these audiences, but Roblox has 240 million monthly active users. Minecraft is up at about 140 million. Fortnite, which, you know, is a monster, is only, quote unquote, at about 80 million. These platforms are just, they're just extraordinary in their scale. Our network that we reach inside Roblox to help brands connect with players, it gives us access to 8 million players a day. It's just so to your point, the scale that these creators, these talented young people have been able to achieve is beyond impressive. And when we talk to companies like DreamWorks or Spin Master or others, we're helping them figure out how to be in front of these audiences. And some of that is through innovative ad units. With DreamWorks, we launched a collection of 3D characters that would show up inside of multiple games. And the characters, you know, had a little question mark above their head. They tried to get players' attention with some animation. Players could go up and talk to them. We had pre-programmed a dialogue so that every time a player clicked to interact with the character, there was messaging that went back and forth. And the sentiment analysis opportunities, the engagement opportunities, the dwell time, to your point, are just extraordinary. We ran a campaign where we had branded currency inside of a game that could be collected through gameplay that was attached to branded characters from this brand. And over the duration of the campaign, we literally had more than a quadrillion, which doesn't make any sense, way too many zeros, quadrillion of these items earned, this currency earned, these coins that were. And so we're just big believers of what's going to continue to take place in that space. And it's going to be another dominant area around creators, creator-driven content, and certainly growth in gaming.
So what you're saying is Roblox is basically the new network, and the creators are similarly to a Twitch building out these channels that then brands are able to participate in and get a higher degree of engagement rather than passively interrupting with an ad, really actively engaging, providing context in game, and paying the consumer for their time, which is what the ultimate promise has always been from digital media, interactive media, and we're finally getting to a point where we can actually deliver on that promise. We're training young people to trade in quadrillions of digital assets, which is amazing as to what we're seeing, which leads me over to Paco. So we have digital assets being created, we have content being created, we have microtransactions, we got e-commerce. Paco, how do we get paid? I mean, you guys have built this back office, financial operations that allow for all of this to be tracked. To me, it's starting to sound a little like ASCAP, where I've got to track my music and make sure my royalty check comes to my mailbox or gets deposited in my account every single month based on my content being out there. Talk to us about the payment systems that are in place and the flow of all this, because a lot of pennies equal up to millions of dollars over time.
I mean, I think you touched on I think Matt as well and Mike have touched on, Twitch is a key partner of ours, Roblox, DistroKid for music royalties. These platforms, effectively are audience driven and generated, and that's where your engagement comes, and that's how you get your personalities onto these audiences in the first place, or these creators. We fit in nicely. Our role really is a back office, and it's an abstracted experience. So when you're a developer on Roblox or you're a creator on an influencer on Twitch, you're signing up for that platform, and when you sign up for that platform, you have this sort of like onboarding experience, and that onboarding experience captures the ability for you to monetize and get paid from that monetization, right? You've signed a contract, an agreement, and so forth. So we abstract that, make it look and feel like it is on platform experience, which it should be. The platforms themselves focus on their core product, which is integral to the success. And you really are sort of, I think a way I would look at it is really solidifying that partner experience on the platform. So we focus on that distribution of those, of the money. So how do you remit? Where do you remit to? 200 countries, 120 currencies, handful of different payment methods, and even non-traditional payment methods. So we are beyond fiat, and now we're exploring our place in distributing more digital currencies to those partners of those platforms. So that's a little bit about how we think about it. It's really mostly abstracting the experience, making it look and feel like it is native, and ensuring that they can trust it so that they can go on about the real business of, the creative side of the business, right? Which is their brand and what they're doing on these platforms.
I want to shift gears for a second. We've coming out of COVID, we've gotten so accustomed to doing these panels and conferences, and again, thank you, Ned, and everybody, LA Games Conference, to continuing this throughout, keeping us together as a community. But we're returning back into the physical event, and streamers showing up at conferences, at TwitchCon, FaZe Clan making appearances as they start to return to competitions. You're drawing 20,000 people into an arena, whether it's Atlanta or New York or Los Angeles, right? And there's even more monetization opportunities there. There's even more cross-cultural touch points that are taking place with merchandise sales and brand partnerships and pop-up stores. JC, going back to you in terms of how you see the experiential economy and the creator economy now coming together in this new world order where I like to say the metaverse is one thing. It's the physical and digital worlds coming together. There aren't all these metaverses that Zuckerberg and the Winklevosses and NVIDIA are building, right? The metaverse is the world. It's what we live in. And it's the way in which we interact with physical and digital through our phones and other devices that is evolving into this new Web3 space. But if we can hone in a little bit now on the new experiential marketplace and what that means with these, as you put it, the rock stars of today, which are these gamers, are these creators. What can we expect from FaZe Clan in this space? And that you're already showing up at NASCAR, you're showing up at the Super Bowl, you guys are showing up at these cultural tentpoles, right? At what point is it the FaZe Bowl, right? And where are we going with all that?
Yeah, well, you set me up nicely because this Saturday we're actually launching our first, well, we've done a pop-up before COVID. This is our first pop-up and first pop-up store that's going to go on for this long, which it'll be a month, right in the heart of the Fairfax streetwear neighborhood of Los Angeles. It's launching this Saturday. And we're opening it up to our fans, to our talent. It will be a bunch of new collaborations, which have yet to be announced. We're going to drop them during this next month. One of the first, though, is a FaZe Clan keyboard, a collab we've done with Ducky, which is a really, we could have done it with a bigger brand out there, but Ducky has a cult following. Our talent loves them. And so it's a FaZe keyboard. And honestly, the electronics that just the game peripherals category for the FaZe Clan audience is huge. We can't keep it in fast enough. So we see that as a massive area of growth. Every esports team sets up their rooms. Every streamer sets up their rooms. So every fan sees that and wants it. Mouse pads also, we did a collab with Murakami, a famous artist, and those flew out. In fact, I owe Mike one. I think we have some hidden, Mike. But all of these collabs also expand our audience. So like to the point of why are we doing this? Not only are we doing it for our fans, obviously, but it's just, we got to feed our fans what they want. It also expands us into different markets. So when we did a collab with Chinatown, that expanded us into that area. And it just, to the point of speaking the language of Gen Z, this is how you do it with the right collaborations. We started with hoodies. Those are awesome. We're still doing hoodies. We will always do hoodies, but we're now getting into peripherals is amazing for us. And we see huge growth, and especially the way Gen Z shops, it's different. Of course, you can go to Amazon and do it there, but these exclusive influencer tied product drops are huge. Shopify is our back end. And, in that creator program that they've put us in, they help to get it off the ground quickly. But the pop-up we're really excited about. We're putting everything behind it. And it launches Saturday, goes for a month. If anyone's in LA, they should stop by. You can DM me. I'll make sure you get in. Or if you have kids that need to stop by, I'll let you know when the talent's going to be there. But it's just a chance to hold things, touch things physically. And in the isolated world that COVID created, I think these events are more important now than ever. The fans want to connect in person. They've been on Discord forever. They have their groups, they come together. They're really, they're there for each other. And so meeting up in person is really, really important. You'll see a lot more from us. This is just the first, and this is centered around our e-commerce side.
That's great.
Yeah.
Mike, in terms of talent, right? We touched on talent, right? Talent is core to that. I look at somebody like Pokimane and I listen to what JC's talking about in terms of the collabs that have been done and the extensions into the peripherals. And, when I started even thinking about the peripherals out there and the lack of varied peripherals that are available to this audience, you take somebody like Pokimane, is Pokimane or someone like that from a talent standpoint, the next Martha Stewart? I mean, are we going to see talent emerge as brand creator, as product creator, as innovator in these spaces where she or he is multidimensional across different platforms with new products that are then addressing needs of this community with products that have never been seen before?
I think that's the goal, right? Like that's the goal that we're building our clients towards. I think, as I mentioned before, you kind of have one shot at it. We've had other premier tier one talent in the past kind of go out early and do their own branded underwear, do their own branded, like clothing brands, like not merch, but actually clothing brands. And, some have seen a little bit more success than others, but at the end of the day, I think what we're all looking for is to be able to walk into a Walmart, walk into a Target and see actual brands having shelf space. And, with other partners, like we've seen FaZe have their cans of G Fuel in Sam's Clubs, right? But like, who is that brand or who is that person that can really create that national distribution? Is it going to be an org that creates its own brand? Like JC mentioned, is it going to be the FaZe keyboard in partnership with Ducky that we're going to see in every Best Buy? Or is it going to be the Pokey mouse or the Pokey, microphone that's going to hit the Best Buy stores? And I think we're all trying to figure that out. But, as esports and gaming are looking towards retail, and what that mass distribution looks like, we also have brands now trying to switch that direct to the consumer model and cut out the middleman, right? So, I think that target's always moving every day of like, what's the better model? Should you be happy? Should you just be happy with direct to consumer, or does the sense of pride of being able to go into a Nordstrom's or Macy's really move the needle? And I think, we're still trying to figure that out. We're still trying to find the right person and the right brand and the right time to really go out into the market, right? And I think at the end of the day, who knows if it'll be the next 5 years, the next 10 years, it could be the next year, right? And I think that's what's so special about esports and gaming, is it's constantly evolving, and we're constantly trying to look around the corner to see what's next and what's big. But numbers keep changing, games keep changing, and who's number one on Twitch or who's number on YouTube is constantly, it's so dynamic that you need these cultural tastemakers to help brands really kind of figure out and make sure that their step into the space is really the right one, and we're making sure that everyone's set up for success. But yeah, I mean, to your point, no one knows, and we're constantly looking for that right person, and we're looking for that one streamer that can become an actor, or that one streamer that can become a business mogul person. And I think we're right at the cusp of it, but yeah, I think only time will tell.
We finally went into Target, Doug, which was slow going because we only do direct to consumer, as Mike knows. But with Zuru, when we partner with Zuru, they have their X shots in Targets around the country. And I think we were really hesitant to go into mass retail in that way, just because Gen Z shops differently, but they sold out immediately. So it worked. So I think you'll be seeing more of our brand in big retail.
Yeah.
Just one thing to add on to this notion of retail and IP, and I think that if there's anybody in the world who wants to create or find the next hot IP that's going to break through or already has broken through, there is no better platform than Roblox. IP can be created by a 16-year-old working essentially on their own that can suddenly reach the point of having 25,000 concurrent players, which likely means multiple millions of monthly active users who have just decided that 16-year-old's IP is as important or more important than games that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make and market. And the signs are there already, where a number of the top Roblox games have retail product lines, deals with Walmart, toy companies who are giving them guarantees to bring their characters, to life as physical products. And so I just, when we're talking IP creation, talking about creators, talking about how this space is growing, and you never know what's next. Keep watching. You will start to see sections of retail dedicated to games and developers you've never heard of, but your kids are spending a lot of whatever their in-game allowances per week on that exact IP already.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Matt, the Game Fam, I'm sure you're familiar with. They've got that partnership with WowWee on Twilight Daycare, which is doing 1 billion minutes of gameplay per month. And, the toy directly relates to the game. It's Webkins all over. For those of us that remember Webkins years ago, where you get that little plush animal and type in the code, and then poof, it would show up in a world which was closed, early web, but it's that same evolution. I agree with you. There's a huge IP opportunity out there. And I think we're going to start to see the likes of, Disney and others start to lean into those characters and start to exploit that, which is, it's a very exciting time in terms of IP creation and using data to drive creativity and understand what the next turn may be. Paco, I want to go back over to you as we're talking about commerce for a second, right? Because when you think about social commerce and talent posting up in their social channel, you think about direct to avatar rather than direct to consumer in terms of the metaverse and avatars that are out there. How does all of that start to build and further your back office in the ecosystem to ensure that I, as an influencer, I, as a creator, all of the people that are involved in the process, right? Because if you will, a media owner, where I'm an advertiser, I buy media, maybe that is attributed to me making the sale. But with today's technology, I can really, follow that path and understand who's attributable and subsequently look to get paid on success. How is Tipalti addressing some of that forward-looking view of v-commerce, virtual commerce, or s-commerce, social commerce, as we move beyond just e-commerce?
Really interesting question. I spent a couple of years at Shopify. The geolocation drops were huge, right? A really good experience. The push to DTC is something that they've been driving. Their involvement in creators is also really interesting. You sort of have this, and I think JC, you touched on this earlier, is that creators are effectively, they started out on a platform doing something, right? And then that something built their own brand. And then now that brand creates other monetization streams for them. Whether it's commerce, so it's traditional through your branded store. Now we're talking social commerce for sure. Metaverse. Just think about going into Roblox and going to the 7-Eleven and buying a virtual icy, right? And so that sort of experience is real. Digital currencies are playing a big role in sort of transaction. NFTs are sort of muddying the water right now. So how do we think about it? I mean, I think we are in a position where we can follow the market on this particular transition and just continue to position ourselves with some of these bigger players in these different sort of ecosystems, whether it's on the metaverse through a Roblox experience, whether it's, we talked about Twitch on an influencer experience. That's sort of how we position ourselves. I wouldn't say that we're going to be bleeding edge. I think we're going to continue to be mindful of the change in the movement. Look, crypto is a great example of something that has been hot and heavy in sort of the press for years, last few years. And it's really become now more mainstream, where you see like the major investment banks participating and creating deal flow, like Goldman Sachs, doing options markets and things like that. So what that tells you is that as this becomes more mainstream, you've got to find solutions to underpin that. And so that's how we look at it. It may not be the cleanest answer, but it's one of where we're going to continue to learn and just adjust and, take the right steps.
Got it. Because when I look at virtual commerce, right, and this idea of digital twins, where if I buy a physical good, I'm now getting a digital version of that I can use in game, or if I buy a digital good in game, I'm now getting an offer for the physical one, right? It's kind of changing that whole relationship between the consumer and the brand, and then furthermore, the consumer with their community as relates to the brand from a marketing standpoint. And I have to believe that the systems, as you're describing with the work that you did at Shopify and some of the drops, really need to start to account for that beyond an e-com platform just being a processor, to where that e-com company is now really moving into data-driven marketing, no?
Yeah, I think the data analytics are going to be huge. I mean, I think that you talk about like affiliate networks and so forth, where does attribution start and where does it end at this point? And so the advertisers in the traditional model, where you've got advertising on one side and you've got the sort of the audience on the other, and then you've got somebody that's generating that excitement. It's a very simple model, but I think that the lines are getting blurred, right? They're getting blurred because you're going across all these different experiences. But here's the beauty of it. We're still talking money. So money's got to come in and money's got to go out. And at the end of the day, that's not complicated. It may look and feel different because now you're talking about digital currency as opposed to a traditional fiat currency, but it's still money movement, and commerce in that sort of perspective is millions of years old or thousands of years older, depending on what you believe, right? It's, the exchange of value for goods is still there. So you'll find the systems building the rails to support that. And
that's why creators should be paid, because the exchange of my time for your content is of value. And our job is to figure out how to monetize that, be it pennies or dollars. JC, we have a question from an anonymous attendee. They say, at JC, what about social commerce? We just touched on that. Do you envision your creators will help you sell via social commerce, i.e. hosting a virtual event and selling exclusive phase merch?
Yeah, yes. I mean, across all our, yes, is the short answer. I'm getting pinged that we're over time right now, but we could have a whole panel on that, actually.
Not a problem. Well, I did not realize that we are over time. I do apologize for those that have tuned in. Again, I want to thank Matt and Paco, JC, and Mike for joining me on this final discussion of LA Games Conference. Thank you, Ned, and the entire team for putting on a tremendous conference for all. And I'm going to turn it back over to our host, Ned Sherman.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Ned.
Doug.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Doug.
JC, Paco, Mike, Matt. Great panel. You guys took it home, and thank you to the audience for your participation over these 3 days. Thought it was a really amazing 3 days, and we're looking forward to the next one, hopefully in person. Hopefully at least can start doing these in person. But it's really great to see everybody. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.